It's been a challenging couple weeks. We really have been having to practice positivity. Our son, all of a sudden, he had 3 seizures in 24 hours.
We were trying to decide whether we were going to come on and do like a public video about what happened, because it is super private.
Yeah, because so many of you guys have reached out to us. Well, how's your son? How's your son? Especially because he's just shared it also.
Right.
We woke up on a Monday. It was a beautiful day. And all of a sudden, we heard Kira screaming like bloody murder. And we were like, what is going on? I was in the backyard. Sherry's in the shower. By the time we got to Kira, she comes running out of the room. She's like, Riley's throwing up blood. And we're like, what are you talking about? We go running into the room. He's laying there. I didn't see any blood, but he's being very unresponsive. We're trying to talk to him. We're like, Riley. And he's just rolling around and thrashing. And we're like, Riley, say something, Riley. By this time, Sherry, towel and wet hair, is calling 911. The paramedics show up. By that time, he started kind of coming to, would you say? Like coming
His
to?
vitals were all normal.
Yeah, he started coming to. And and he looks at us like, what are all these people in my room? So they started checking his vitals and asking questions, and all his vitals were normal. But they say, you know what, we think that he might have had a seizure because there's a little damage on his tongue.
Like he bit it.
So we're like, well,
hence the blood.
They were like, should we take him to the hospital? Yeah, you should just take him to get checked out. So we're like, okay, we jump in the car, we take him to the hospital, all just still like, what is going on? We get to the hospital, we're in the waiting room, we're waiting, they're about to check him in. And you know what, a waiting room, if it's not an emergency right away, they sit you down. So we're sitting down, they actually put him in a wheelchair. I'm sitting across from him. Sherry's standing there kind of massaging his shoulders, and he's like, I don't know what's going on, I just feel horrible, I don't know. And right in front of us, he starts to have another seizure.
Second one.
In the full waiting room, Sherry starts screaming. We're trying to hold him. He's shaking and just like makes this heart, like it was just.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, it was just this horrible sound he was making, and he was just stiff. So they bring a gurney out, they throw him on it, they lay him on his side. I could tell you can't even like.
No, I'm not crying. This is like I think the second time since it happened that I'm not crying through this.
And then just like in the movies, they wheel him away, and we try to rush behind him, and they're like, no, you guys can't come in. We gotta just find out what's going on with him. This is a man who's like, he's healthy. Like nothing's going on. This just happens
Never
out
had
of the
an ear
blue.
infection. Never had strep throat.
He was getting in the best shape of his life, going to the gym every day. So we're like, what is going on? So then they leave us in a waiting room for about like what?
I don't even know.
Like felt like a lifetime. Probably was like half an hour. We don't know what's going on back there. She never panics. She collapses into my arms, just crying, my baby, my baby, my baby. What am I gonna do? Derek, what's going on? Is he gonna be okay? And of course, I'm like, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. But I'm in my head panicking too. They finally come out to get us. They had to sedate him because he said once he came out of the seizure, he was being a little aggressive because he was trying to
He
get.
just didn't know what was happening, and
was.
there was stuff attached to him, and he was confused.
We go in there and he's like out. We waited for him to come to, and then they started doing the brain tests on him.
They did an EEG, they did a CAT scan, they did an MRI, they did like a nasal swab, did all sorts of stuff on him. Nothing. And because they didn't know what was going wrong, they hooked him up to an IV and started pumping several different antibiotics, antivirals, so much stuff going into him where he's really never had any sort of medication before.
Then, we had to sit there and wait all day. It started being nighttime, and then they said, you know what? He's had 2 seizures within a couple hours. We want to keep him overnight. By that time, he's like, I don't want to be here overnight. And we're never in hospitals. I can't remember last time.
And he doesn't remember any of what's going on. Like he doesn't remember any of this. He's either been sedated or having a seizure, and he has no memory. Last thing he remembers is being in his bedroom.
So then they transfer us to another hospital. They went in an ambulance, and I went home to get some things for them because they're going to be overnight. And I come back and I drop it off to them, and they stayed the first night. They didn't want us to stay, but Sherry's like, I'm not leaving my son. He's had a seizure, and it's a good thing she didn't. He's had a seizure. I'm not leaving my son. 2 seizures by then. 2 seizures by then. It's like, I'm not leaving my son. So I was like, all right, I'll go home. She stayed overnight with me. Get up the next morning early to get over back to them. Sherry, I see her texting. We have a group text with family letting us know what's going on. He seems fine. He's in good spirits today. He's talking. While I'm in the bathroom, literally I get up. While I'm in the bathroom brushing my teeth and washing my face, apparently Sherry called and my phone was on my nightstand. I hear my daughter banging at the door. Mommy needs you now. Mommy needs you now. And I'm like, what is going on? I open the door. Sherry's on the phone. It's like, oh my God, Derek, he's seizuring again. I need you to get here now.
It was in the morning. We were talking. He was like, what happened? I was kind of like updating him because he had no memory about it. And literally while we're in the middle of a conversation, he has like the biggest seizure yet. I don't know what he was hooked up to, but no one came. That was the worst moment of my life because he's literally thrashing around in bed. Sounds like he's choking. and I'm screaming my head off, not wanting to leave him, but wanting to get someone to come in. And they're asking me, who's your nurse? And I'm like, who cares who my nurse is? Like, someone come help me. And I'm just screaming, help me, help me, help me. And then all of a sudden there was like 6 people around the bed, and they brought me out to the hallway, and there's a social worker asking me if she can get me water. And I'm like, I'm about to punch you, get away from me. Turns out the suction next to the bed was not working, so he almost choked on everything. Then we found out a couple hours later when the doctor came to talk to us that he almost did not make it through that one.
Proceeded after that a week long, every couple hours, a test.
Around the clock.
A test. Pumping, flushing antibiotics into his arm, which was burning him. And he was just like, this is horrible.
He's not epileptic. So many of you said, he's not epileptic.
Finally, like after 4 days there, they're like, we're gonna have to do a, what is it called?
Well, we know it as called spinal tap, but now they call it a lumbar puncture.
And he did not want to do that. He did not want to do that.
There's a lot of really adverse side effects where you can go numb, you can get like migraines for the rest of your life, you can get all sorts of really scary things, if you move at all. And we were going back and forth.
Should we do it? Should we not do it?
My brother and my dad are doctors, so I was looping them into it. We were getting their feedback. They were talking to the doctors at the hospital. Thank God we had them there to do that. The neurologist said, look, if we do the lumbar puncture and we rule out everything,
any infection,
he can come off of all of the antibiotics, antivirals, and everything like now, because it was literally burning his arm like his arm was on fire. And for that reason alone, and just to rule out everything, so there was no like what ifs when we went home from the hospital, we did it.
Yeah. Did that, and he was terrified of that because no one wants a needle in the middle of their back, but he came through that like a trooper.
He has head to toe tattoos on every part of his body except for his back because he doesn't want a needle near his back, and this is what happened. Yes.
So after we waited again. By this time we were in the hospital for a week because they were waiting for the results. Results came back again.
Negative.
Negative.
Normal.
Negative. So they finally, after that, they said, okay, you guys can go home, but we want to keep him on anti-seizure medication. We came home and everyone was happy to have him home. He was happy to be home.
But here's the PSA. Look, nothing bad about hospitals, doctors, whatever, in the Western philosophy. They tested him for literally everything. So now we're working with the holistic side of medicine, and it has been life-changing for us. There's a whole universe of things you can do once one thing fails and doesn't give you any answers. So as soon as we got home, I started him with an amazing chiropractor. We're going to be using a functional medicine, traditional Chinese medicine doctor. There's also a mental health gain, and we're healing and everything. So there's therapy, eating well, exercising, because what they told us from the hospital to also the more holistic healthcare practitioners is that keep stress down, eat well, stay hydrated, get good sleep, do things that calm your nervous system, like meditation, like
healthy,
yoga.
But he's doing all the running around, and
this has actually been a wake-up call because now he's completely reset his whole life. Now he's building back up in a healthy, sustainable, that is good for him, body, mind, and soul. I feel grateful for everything and everyone that's been a part of this journey, and especially you guys who have sent us direct messages here and on Instagram.
We mostly wanted to do this to thank you guys. We weren't hiding it. It was his story to tell. It was a private matter, especially after he released his video saying what happened to him. We started getting more and more messages. This is a video just to let you guys know what happened and to thank you.
If you have any questions about anything we've mentioned, let us know. We are all about community here. We are not gatekeeping anything. We're all about sharing our experience, what's worked for us, because we want us all together to get healthy, mentally and physically together. Did I say together like 8 times?
Probably. But
that's what we're about.
Well, anyway, guys, again, thanks for caring. We love you.
We love you so much.
Stay positive.
And let us know your comments. Let us know your experiences with stuff like that. Like, let's all learn from each other. Put it down below.
All right, guys.
Love you.